Hey guys, Coach Roz here for Alpha Training. Just with a little coaching tip of the day to kind of get us through some questions we were talking about yesterday on the Facebook site. The question was about bar trajectory, or bar path as we call in Olympic weightlifting. It's kind of where that bar is going. So if you watch the bar from the side, again I'm going to show 3 examples of kind of watching the bar from the side and seeing where it goes in space and kind of using that for a coaching tip or coaching technique and showing where the faults are because of that bar path, or we're doing well because of that bar path. So in alpha training, we often talk about a fishhook bar path. Again, the example would look, and this first example is a very, very straight bar path with a small hook on top. So what we're seeing is the lifter lifting forward, the bar goes straight up the body, and on top, whether it's a snatch or a clean, that bar will create that little hook back into the body. So it'll kind of rotate as our wrist turns over back into our body, creating this fish hook. Some things to watch for that fish hook is the smaller that fish hook becomes, the more efficient we are becoming with that lift. It means as I'm getting under the bar, the smaller that bar hooks back down, the quicker I'm getting under that bar and being efficient with my motion. The more larger that fish hook becomes, where it looks more like maybe an upside down U, it means we're getting under the bar and then having to squat quite a distance. So we're not being as efficient or as quick under the bar as we'd like. Again, what this is helping is keeping that bar close to the body. They're using the cue of shave the body, or shave your body with the bar, keeping that bar as close to the body as we can as it comes up, and then snapping under it is one of the cues I like to use. But that creates that bar to be close and lighter in sense, making sure that bar doesn't float away from the body, where then it becomes heavier for us to lift, or swinging out, which we'll show in the second example, creating a little more out of control. So that example I'm talking about, again, this second example here, is more of this straight start, and as the bar gets into our hips, we almost do like a kettlebell swing, where we extend our hips forward instead of driving our body tall or straight, creating this big swing out of the bar, getting away from the body, and then having to hook back. The problem with that now is going to become, as that bar swings away from our body, it'll have to obviously come back and swing back to us. The further that gets out, the more force it's going to have as it swings back, and obviously if the weight is heavier or the force is great, the bar is going to want to continue back, whether it's a snatch and we'll miss it out back, or a clean and it's going to come hard back into our body, usually allowing us to jump forward. Again, one of the faults we've talked about before is our feet jumping forward because that bar is driving forward, and then our body follows along with it, or coming back hard into our shoulders or into our neck. The third example I'm going to show is one of the questions we got on the Facebook site was this S hook of a bar path. What that looks like now on this third example is going to be the bar sweeping into us. So almost our hips come up, the bar sweeps back into our hips as we lift. So it'll sweep back into us, and then as we get to the hips, we extend, and again our hips break. So instead of this vertical piece where my ankle to my shoulder are in a straight line, I break my hips. So my hips snap that straight line and create that bar to sweep out just a little bit. And so this S curve begins. So it sweeps in, then comes back around and sweeps out, and we catch the bar. Now, on how drastic that S curve becomes is the big issue. I always talk about lifting like dancing, or like throwing a baseball in a sport. I can teach 10 people how to throw a baseball, and they're all going to throw it differently. So the same thing with lifting. I can teach 10 people to snatch or 10 people to clean, and their style or their art to the lift is going to be different from each and individual one of them. So we have to make sure that we understand that people's body types, mobility issues, or flexibility areas that people have that are greater are going to change this bar path. But the closer we can become to that vertical piece, the more efficient we can become with that lift, and the greater we can have either a snatch or a clean and the power we're using to transfer into that bar and into the lift itself. The S curve is going to be okay for some, just making sure on the top that S doesn't get too far out, and it doesn't allow our body to have to jump forward to catch this bar. So some things to watch for bar path. Now, one thing I want to talk about a little bit with that is finishing the pull. We talk about that triple joint extension, or at least extending tall to create force into the bar to transfer from our legs and hips through our core and into our bar. And we'll look at finishing the pull, or this finishing position, or top of the pull, we'll talk about a lot. Some people will use the phrase of the launching position. So it's right before we hit triple extension. I've got this somewhat model of a person lifting the bar, and knees are still slightly bent. Shoulders are just slightly over the bar still. So we're just about to launch this bar, and we're right before triple extension. The big thing I'll see which changes bar path for a lot of people is wanting to launch too soon. So what happens is they'll get past their knee, and once the bar gets about halfway up their thigh, they want to launch from there. And so they're still pretty bent and flexed with the knee and the hip. And when they launch, the bar wants to float away already. Their launch position or their triple extension, finishing the pull, their top of the pull starts too early. When this happens, the bar wants to float out or stay out in front of them as they finish the pull, and then it's going to have to turn back even more, creating more of this large hook away from our body. So we want to make sure as you become better as a lifter, more proficient, you have a lot of tremendous power. We'll see a lot of athletes coming in that pick up lifting pretty quick, that have a lot of power, and they'll want to start really quick and really early because they're so explosive. The biggest thing is making sure that bar gets up into those hips, and so we wait. I always say patience before the pull. So we always stay patient, getting that bar up into the hips, and then hit that triple extension. And I always say that triple extension is very short, that finishing the pull or the top of the pull, the launching position, is such a short part of the lift, but it makes the world of lift. It creates this bar path. So we want to make sure that bar gets up into those hips. We're almost into the crease of the hip before the snatch, and for the clean we're probably maybe about 2 or 3 inches below that. It gets high up into the thigh, and we launch from there. So I always think of that thigh as once the bar gets to that thigh, it almost slides up the thigh like a slide, a backward slide. The bar rolls up that slide. We extend fully, creating that vertical bar piece. The bar doesn't float away. Our arms or elbows break, and we catch the lift. So hopefully this answers some of your questions and doesn't give you too many more questions to think about. But just next time you're doing your lift, ask your coach, ask a friend, ask anybody to film your lift. Get their smartphone out. You can find a few apps out there that will actually track bar trajectory. But if you can, watch the lift from the side. Get this view of what the bar path is doing, and then see where it maybe breaks the bar breaks that vertical line, and see why it's breaking that line. From there, see where we're being efficient. If the feet jump forward, if the feet jump back too far, kind of watch what the body's doing. So make sure we're not just lifting to lift, but we're actually lifting to get better, more efficient, more powerful, and just better all around as an alpine athlete. Have a great day, guys, and hope this helped out.